Good evening. Today is Thursday, November 5th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. And I'll call this Fairfield City School District work session to order. Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Present?
Mr. Clark?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum? Here. Mrs. Shorter?
Okay, would you everyone please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you for everyone. The first item on the agenda is presentations and resolutions. Turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Birding. Members of the board, we do have one presentation scheduled this evening. Tonight we will be receiving an overview of an EL needs assessment that recently took place in our district. This time I will turn it over to Mrs. Aug and Mrs. Hildreth.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I'm excited to be here tonight with Mrs. Warren Hildreth to present the results of the ESL needs assessment that we've been working on over the last school year. Tonight's presentation is a very high-level overview of the feedback we received from the assessment. We just received the assessment from Hamilton County ESC on October 30th. So now is when the real work begins, when we take what's in this report and start to put a plan together for the future. So next slide, please. So as you know, Fairfield typically serves between 1,100 and 1,200 EL students in its program. And the number of EL students in the district has grown significantly in just the past 10 years, growing from 438 students in 2009 to over 1,120,000 students, 1,120 students that we are currently serving this year. So for these reasons, we partnered with Hamilton County ESC to conduct a program audit. It's a chance for us to know what we're doing well and what we need to improve on to give our students the best experience here at Fairfield. So we will use this information to help us make decisions now and in the future. So Don and I have been working with Connie Reyes-Rao since last winter to complete the process. And I just want to take a minute to let you know that typically Connie would be here to help deliver these results and kind of give the high-level overview herself. But she teaches a class on Thursday nights, so there wasn't any way that she was going to be able to make it here. So she apologizes and she would like to be here but just simply cannot. So the assessment tool used by Hamilton County ESC was developed using federal Title III guidelines, Columbus City Schools program audit, along with the text program evaluation, English as a second language. The process focused on compliance with and implementation of ESSA, IDEA, and Title VI, along with implementation of best practices in the district. Data for this report was collected from teacher and administrator interviews, along with student data from English learner files. So just to let you know, some parts of the needs assessment that we had originally planned to do were interrupted by COVID and were ultimately eliminated. So for example, we did teacher surveys and we wanted to complement that with teacher forums, but we weren't able to do that. We also wanted to have student forums. And again, those were supposed to happen last spring, and we decided to just eliminate them because when we got back here this fall, really the focus was on collecting the data from the student files. So even though we had to eliminate those elements, we still have a very comprehensive report and a lot of good information for us to build on. So at this point, I will turn it over to Mrs. Hildreth so she can talk about some of the things we learned from the process.
Thank you. Good evening to members of the board and Mr. Smith. I get to be the little cheerleader here, which is one of my specialties, so I'm excited about that. And we entitled this part, Accentuate the Positive. So we had a very strong use of the MTSS and data. I will definitely take this opportunity to toot our horn and say that Fairfield City School District was one of the few districts in the state to complete our OELPA testing in 2020. We were commended for that on several occasions, and really, really proud of our teachers who do an outstanding job and take it very seriously. So we were one of the few, again, districts in the state to complete our OELPA testing in 2020. We were complimented for the use of a centralized reporting system, which is, EdInsight is what we are currently using, which is a data collector for all of our records. And it's a place where all of our teachers can have access to our students and their plans and things of that nature. We were also complimented for our use of the National Geographic core curriculum. It was noted that administration, building administration, as well as district administration places great confidence in our English learner staff. And our tutoring staff is extremely culturally diverse, which I'm very excited and proud of, both bilingual and multicultural in nature. We also have the availability of an alternative grading system, which greatly assists our ELs and allows us to focus on the gains that they're making and grade them in a system that is fair and equal. We have a robust English language manual. All of you have access to that manual, which provides a thorough overview of the requirements of civil rights and the law requirements as they pertain to English learners. Ms. Reyes-Rao just complimented us over and over again regarding that EL manual with all the information that it contains and the fact that there is a place where teachers, students, parents can go if they want that information. We have a lot of access to native language support, including translations of critical documents. That was very evident to her, as well as the Kagan strategies that the district has spent so much time and energy promoting. These strategies were found to be very effective with our English learners. As for recommendations, the report suggested that we increase evidence of our parent notification and permission system. Although each student has an English language plan, the plan should be individualized for each student, she found. She suggested a greater emphasis should be placed on English learner attendance issues. She suggested, say that 5 times fast, that we obtain parent permission for all services and that we individualize to meet the unique needs of our students, and we document all uses of our interpreters and translators. She also suggested it might be wise to create a parent night which focuses on the big ideas of literacy and what we're trying to accomplish with our English learners. Also, to focus on attendance, train our teachers and tutors a little bit. We have had we've had a couple of teachers at the high school and several tutors that are newly hired. And so we are going to be training them on National Geographic refreshers. We're going to provide PSYOP training for our tutors. That's going to come up very shortly. And culturally responsive techniques, which have already started as part of a district initiative. She also suggested that we create timelines for ESL teachers to collaborate more consistently, that we have compliance training for administrators and review the ratio of teachers to students, that we evaluate services for long-term ELs, and that we monitor, evaluate teacher and tutor caseloads. Those would be the recommendations that she had from her report. Let me just say too that I will be leaving this role, as you all know, at the end of the school year. I've been humbled and very excited to serve the students in this role. And I just thank you guys so much for your support. I tell the teachers and tutors all the time, I like to say yes as much as possible, but I've been able to say yes because you've said yes. So I just thank you so much for your support of our English learners. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I'm very proud of our students and our staff, and this report is going to help us do even more and become even better than we already are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
Sure, any comments or questions from the board? I do have one question. It was stated that recommendation was document all uses of interpreter and translator. How many would you say, I guess, situations where, I mean, how many in a given year or month or week is the use of a translator needed? And would it be very difficult to document all those uses?
It can vary greatly. For example, when we're having parent-teacher conferences, we might use 100 to 150 translators among all the teachers in the meetings that take place. It's very easy to document that information. She suggested that when you have, for example, your parent-teacher conferences, that you have your sign-ins, just simply put at the top, we used interpreters, these are the interpreters that were used, this was the time frame, and so forth and so on. We also do document our interpretation services because we have to pay for them. So it's also easy to put that information into a spreadsheet. But she said if you document it and you have it written, it just shows that you are following the law,
Okay.
and that you have proof of that.
So that wouldn't be something so overwhelming to do? I mean, even though it happens on a daily basis, I would imagine.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Begley?
It seems like within the recommendations, focus on attendance and greater emphasis should be placed on attendance issues, so it was mentioned twice. So is there a significant issue there? What were their concerns?
So her concerns were twofold with the attendance issue. So, you know, she was saying that it was documented that attendance, truancy were issues in some of the files, and then she also had concern that there was no evidence of follow-up on those issues. So actually, we talked a little bit about this with the principals this week, and it was interesting because the principals noted that too, and they were like, that's so weird. We have attendance meetings on students who are considered truant or who are absent a lot. We have to, by law, have these attendance meetings. So, and you know, this is a good example of, you know, why you do a needs assessment and how important the follow-up is, because we really need to take a deep dive into that, because the principals are saying, I know that when there's follow-up, what we think is that those attendance documents live over here, and what Mrs. Reyes-Rao and her team were looking at just did not have those documents in it, because the ELs do have separate cumulative files. So again, that's an opportunity for us. It might be as easy as we need to make sure that these documents make it into their cumulative records. So.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Mine's just a comment. Dawn, thank you for doing what you do. I love your enthusiasm, and when we've met in some other meetings, I love your passion for what you do, so thank you, and I'm sad that you're moving on. But I love the parent night. I think it's very, very important with kids to get the parents involved, especially in the different multicultures that we have at this district, to bring them in. I think that could help the truancy and attendance issues as well when the parents are more involved and know the school. They're more comfortable coming to the school in different ways. I think that's fantastic, and I hope once this season of COVID gets over, where I can see through the foggy glasses as well, that parent night can happen and bring in some of the different cultures and really celebrate that. I think that's a great idea, and I love that.
Anything else? Thank you both very much for bringing this to our attention. It's definitely a much-needed service for our community, so thank you very much.
If you have any questions get the report in your board folders, please feel free to follow up with one of us. Again, we just got it, so we're all digesting it. We're happy to answer any questions, and I look forward to sharing our future endeavors with you. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.